For a closed-door deposition.
I made it crystal clear I will follow the law.
But
Next question. Next question.
I made it crystal clear I will follow the law. That's different. Democratic Congressman James Walkinshaw of Virginia, member of the House Oversight Committee and Homeland Security Committee, is here to talk with me about why that's different. Because I guess my understanding of what happened yesterday is that this is a briefing that was pretty spontaneously put on the books. Democrats were informed of it, and there was no clear format. But when you showed up, it was in the oversight hearing room, and each member was given 3 minutes to ask questions, which kind of sounds like a deposition, except this wasn't a deposition. So what are we to make of what we just saw?
Yeah, look, I think the irony of it, the tragic irony, is the issue around Jeffrey Epstein was secrecy. The issue around the Trump administration has been secrecy, not wanting to release the files. So Pam Bondi gets a subpoena to show up on the record, under oath, with a transcription and a video, and explain to the committee and the American people why she hasn't complied with the law and fully released the files. And to try to get around that, they hold a secret, closed-door, private, no record, no transcription briefing where she refuses to agree to comply with the subpoena and come before the committee for the deposition. Secrecy, secrecy, secrecy.
So where does that leave the committee then? Because I think what's telling is that when Congresswoman Summer Lee, your colleague, was pressing the chairman on whether he would enforce his own committee's subpoena, which his own Republican members in small part voted to do, he instead lashed out at her. So do you have confidence that the chairman is going to enforce the subpoena himself?
He gave a response similar to the response Attorney General Bondi gave, which is, all of our subpoenas need to be complied with. He didn't explain exactly how he would do that or to what degree he would do that with respect to this subpoena, but he's created a very clear precedent. We just had a deposition of President and Secretary Clinton, and when they didn't arrive on the day that Chairman Comer selected, he moved directly to criminal contempt charges against them. So I presume he'll follow the same precedent here, that if the Attorney General doesn't arrive on the day he set, which is April 14th, he'll move toward contempt charges for her. I expect and hope that he'll do the same. That's the precedent he's created.
And yet I wonder if you worry that he will use this closed-door briefing as a pretense to say, we don't need to do that.
I think at a minimum, the Attorney General and perhaps the chairman will use it as a pretense to delay the deposition. The subpoena is clear. It's been issued. It's been signed by the chairman. It has a date. It has the terms of the deposition. It is in effect. Can they attempt to delay, push it off in the hopes that they can run out the clock or people's attention will move to something else? Perhaps. But Democrats on the committee and Democrats in Congress are going to continue to pursue this subpoena and ensure that, as the Attorney General said, the law is complied with. Complying with the law means complying with the subpoena and showing up.
It does seem like this is setting up a showdown between the top person at the Department of Justice and Congress to enforce a legal subpoena. I mean, I do think that's what we're driving toward. I recognize the presumption that you're coming to this with, but we're going to see, I guess, what we ultimately see. In the meantime, looming over this is later today, you're going to have Darren Indyke, Epstein's former personal lawyer, in front of you for a deposition. Can you talk about some of the questions that you have for him?
Yeah, look, Darren Indyke for decades helped to facilitate Epstein's sex trafficking ring. He maintains, just as Richard Kahn, Epstein's accountant, maintains, that he heard no evil and saw no evil for decades, despite the crimes that Epstein was committing. So I think with everyone who was close to Epstein and helped to facilitate the crimes, the question is, what did you know and when did you know it? Indyke withdrew large amounts of cash, right? And to run a sex trafficking ring, you need a lot of cash to pay your recruiters, to pay off the victims. And Indyke was the one who withdrew that cash and put it in a black bag for Jeffrey Epstein. He never had any idea what that cash was being used for. That's what he's maintained publicly. I want to ask him those questions today.
Yeah, and he's part of that trio of Les Wexner, Darren Indyke, and Richard Kahn, all of whom now, or at least after today, you will have spoken to, that make up a pretty core trio to help understand how Epstein's internal network actually worked with trafficking, with payouts. I think it's really important what you're seeking to establish. Very, very quickly, do you have a date for Howard Lutnick to come in yet?
We don't have a date yet for Howard Lutnick. I certainly hope it will be soon. He needs to explain why he lied to the American people about his relationship with Epstein.
Certainly a lot more dates to put on the calendar, and we'll see if the Attorney General comes in for hers at this point, mid-April. Democratic Congressman James Walkinshaw of Virginia, thank you for helping us get a better understanding of what happened in that room yesterday. The other thing that we will keep you for is the thing we always ask.